The animals are protected by a spirit or God, so they're not afraid to approach us or even attack us. But the Vadda use chants to chase away these spirits. Some spirits don't like the thuk sound we make, and they abandon the animal. The chant is like an insult to the spirit.
Animal behavior is interpreted as the will of the spirits that dwell within them. When faced with an aggressive animal, it's important that the guardian spirit be appeased or chased away. But the sloth bear is a completely different animal, oblivious to all who stand before it, and so it must be treated in a very different way.
The bear is respected by us, but we also fear him because he is unpredictable. And he's usually always in a bad mood whenever we meet him. The bear's habit is to catch you unawares. You have no time to recite chants or chase away his spirit. We only have our axes to defend ourselves if he decides to attack.
To truly understand the reasons for the sloth bear's legendary short fuse, we have to take a closer look at the animal itself. Although their sense of smell is very strong, the bears have poor eyesight and hearing. And this means that a human can wander very close to a resting bear without either of them aware of the other's presence. Chief Waniya and his people are no strangers to bear attacks.
When a bear is about to attack, it makes a threatening sound. But if a person can control his fear and is prepared, he can wrestle him off. About 6 or 7 years ago, my brother was attacked by a bear, and he lost his eye. Early one morning I was walking through the forest when I heard a grunting sound. I heard it twice. And then something started to move fast towards me through the bushes. I took my weapon to defend myself, but before I knew it I was knocked out. 3 days later, I woke up in a hospital and found my arm and head wounded, and my eye hanging out of its socket. I had to have an operation to cut it out.
But a sloth bear's reputation for aggression is also matched by a far lighter side to its character, which the Veddas use to their advantage. Bears have an incredibly sweet tooth, and during most of the year when there's no palu fruit around, they are addicted to wild honey. Their obsession with the sweet stuff is recounted in a favorite Vedda folk tale.
Male and female bears are never seen together, and that's because the female has a reputation for being very lazy. She would ask the male to fetch honey for her. But gathering honey is hard work. So up in the tree, the male would feast on the honeycombs himself and throw down the wax and tasteless bee larvae for the female. After many years, the female finally found out that the male was keeping the best honey for himself. She was furious and stopped living with the male. From that day on, females and males never stay in each other's company.
In ancient times, Vaddas were employed as royal honey gatherers for Sri Lanka's kings. Their expertise is thanks in part to the sloth bear. Using their extraordinary sense of smell, the bears are able to locate honeycombs hidden away in tree hollows.
When bears want honey, they leave claw marks behind on the trees they've climbed. So we know in which trees to look for honey.
Once a hive has been located, the hard and often painful work can begin. Today it's the turn of Gunabandhya, Chief Wania's son, to run the gauntlet of the irate bees. He stuns the bees with a bundle of smoking leaves before sticking his hand into the hollow. This particular species of bee is extremely aggressive, but the prize tucked away in the hollow is worth a few angry stings. His spectators watch on with little sympathy as the precious combs are carefully hauled out. Although the group can now relax and enjoy the feast, the Vaddas must still remain on their guard during this time of year.
There are some places in the forest where you are warned to avoid, because the bears are there now. There are signs in the forest, certain smells, tree damage, places where the bear scent marks, even by the tone of their calls. We are taught at an early age to look out for these signs. But if a Vadda still happens to come face to face with a bad-tempered bear, there is one last tactic they employ to protect themselves. There is a tree that grows in our forests that we call porter. We use its bark for medicine, but the bears don't like its smell. During these times we carry a pole cut from a porter branch, and if a bear should attack, we threaten the bear with it and shout a mantra to scare its spirit.
This ancient and uneasy relationship between Vadda and bear has been nurtured over countless centuries. But when outsiders start to encroach into the forest, that's when serious problems begin. Many national parks in Sri Lanka are now surrounded by farmland. Punchi Banda and his family grow rice on a 5-acre plot of land. Ironically, they were relocated here several years ago, after their previous farm was destroyed by elephants. But for Punchi Banda, moving here was like being thrown out of the proverbial frying pan and into the fire.
I was crossing a stream at the edge of my farm 2 years ago. The forest is close by, so I collect firewood there. As I crossed over onto the other side, I heard loud growls behind me. I turned to see a bear running towards me. As it attacked, I held up my hand to protect myself, but it was too fast. It clawed my face, and I fell backwards. As I fell, I noticed 2 cubs hiding at the bank of the stream where I had just crossed. This was a mother bear protecting her young. I was lucky. She became distracted and I got up and ran to the nearest tree. I was up in that tree for the rest of the day and the whole night while she circled below me.
While Punchi Banda eventually hopes to be settled in a safer part of the countryside, others venture into bear country knowingly. bears are particularly prized for their fat, which is still used in native medicine. These were well-known facts to Gamini as he ventured into the forest 3 years ago, on a day much like any other. Little did he realize how the events of that day would change his life. When a poacher enters a forest, especially a protected one, his motives are clear from the very start. Gamini was a poacher, and a very successful one, making a small fortune from animal meat, bone and skins, all illegally obtained within the sanctuary. Like others of his trade, Gamini was using a well-known trail and knew exactly what he was looking for.
I came into the forest to cut wood, and then suddenly 2 bears leapt on me and attacked my face. I lost consciousness, but my friend found me. He rescued me and carried me to the hospital.
Wildlife authorities believe that he was actually trying to catch a bear cub and was attacked by its mother. Gamini's face was torn away, and local doctors transplanted skin grafts from his back over his exposed skull. Their main concern? To keep him alive. Now an invalid and entirely dependent on his family, Gamini's poaching days are over. The Vaddas are well aware of the repercussions of unnecessarily harming an animal.
There are many animals that are fierce. Elephants, leopards, bears, they are the most fierce. But the Vaddas share the same forests as all of them. Do you see us attacking them or trying to kill them? If an animal feels threatened, or if it sees its young being threatened, then it will attack.
As the boundaries between the wilderness and human society become more indistinct, the void between forest dwellers like the Vaddas and opportunists like Gamini grows even wider. Today, there are many more like Gamini who see the potential wealth to be reaped from the forest. For all their blind fury, even sloth bears are helpless against this tide of humanity. Today, they number less than 300 in Sri Lanka, earning them the fateful title of the country's most endangered mammal. The Vaddas have noticed the bear's decline.
When I was a child, they were all over here. The bears have a sweet tooth. We used to watch them feeding on fruits and flowers. But a lot of those trees are gone. Now there are farms. The bears are disappearing. Maybe they've gone into the mountains.
Clouds gather in the skies. They herald the approaching monsoon and the end of the Palu season. Though still awkward from their gorging, the bears regain some of their dignity, and one by one vanish into the concealing bush. With no more Palu to tempt them, they retreat into the deep interior and back into the mountains. The sloth bears will not be seen again for many months. Old One Eye follows suit, but this may be her final disappearing trick. It's a tough life being a sloth bear, and hers has been tougher than most. She's worn out, and time is against her, but she's lasted 10 years. A good run for a wild bear. Her young protégé has a tough act to follow, but by the looks of her exuberant cub, she's well on her way. a few days, there is nothing on the landscape to even hint that sloth bears were ever here. The herds reclaim the plains, now able to follow their daily routines in relative peace. The leopard cubs, too, have emerged unscathed from their first weeks of discovery. In true leopard style, they've mastered a vanishing trick of their own. The coming rains will break the spell that has held this dry landscape captive for so long. The black ghosts have vanished. The season of the spirit bear has come to an end.